Hey, welcome back to the channel. Did I get arrested? Really? Was that true? No. Again, I'm trying to make the point, the very clear point, that video is no longer evidence. You can't believe everything you see on YouTube. So if someone sees me or anyone else flying outside of the regulations, they can't guarantee that that's actually what happened. That cannot be used as evidence. And my previous video, of course, where I tagged the town, none of that really happened. It was all visual effects, but nevertheless, I had some complaints. I had Arthur. Now, he's a local here, friend of council, gets on very well with a lot of the councillors, has a few beers with them, and his response was really interesting. Basically, he told me off. It was irresponsible of me, socially irresponsible of me to promote vandalism, even if just by digital means. I can't say I totally agree with Arthur, because if that's the case, then all those feature films you watch, you know, the action adventure movies where people get shot and killed and robberies occur, isn't that the same thing? Isn't that movie producers, television show producers promoting illegal acts? Isn't that irresponsible? No, of course it's not. People understand the difference between fiction and reality. And what you saw on my last video was all fiction. And what you saw at the beginning of this video, yeah, that was all fiction too. You can very easily change things with a camera and a bit of editing to look like what they're not. And that's what we need to rely on when we want to put videos up on YouTube, showing us doing things that are, we know, totally safe, but may not be completely in line with the regulations. Got the new shirt, look at this, here we go, read that and weep. That's the way I live my life now. That's the way I move forward. And I think a lot of other people are doing the same. You know, the hobby is in decline. It can't be denied. I've seen all the influencers putting videos out now saying, is this the end of the hobby? Is the hobby's in decline? You know, it's all bad. People are losing interest. And if you look carefully, I see even key influencers like Joshua Bardwell. I think he reviewed a land radio, not an aircraft radio, but a land radio, because people realize that the flying is heading for nowhere at the moment because of this massive over-regulation, and people like Arthur who seem to think it's bad to break the regulations. I don't know where we go from there. But today's video is just a little bit of, hopefully a bit light-hearted. The summer's finally arrived here. It is about 25 degrees today. It was about 28 yesterday. Woohoo! Now, we've got a few days until Christmas. After Christmas it rains for a week, but I'll be trying to get as much flying in as I can. Probably a bit of flying down the lake with my float planes. Why not? Bit of fixed wing for a change. And but I wanted to point out some stuff that I've seen on the internet, on YouTube in fact, and one of them was a video by an auditor in the UK who was flying his Mavic Mini drone, and he was approached by a policeman who was a drone expert. He was part of the drone squad for the police. Now, I've got very little sympathy for auditors, and this guy, he was flying outside a police college, so you've got to expect they're going to come and investigate. But here's what happened when he rolled up.
I was going to caution you, you don't have to say anything, but it may on defence if you don't mention one question something later on in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence.
Why?
Have you got visual line of sight with your drone at the moment?
Yes. Well, no, because I'm talking to you. You've interrupted me.
Yeah, okay. Well, where is your drone?
It is directly above this lane at the moment.
Where? So you were stood here when I've approached you?
You want me to point it to you?
Hmm?
You want to point it out to you or what?
Please, yeah. Yeah, because you've got to have visual line of sight, haven't you?
Right.
The civil aviation publications and the air navigation orders.
But I can.
Yep, where is it?
So, obviously, you've been talking to me, so hold on.
No, don't move the drone. Just
I'm not moving it, am I?
I know where you are, and you do...
I was watching it until you approached.
No, you weren't.
I turned around.
Because I know where you are, and from here, you have not got visual line of sight. I need you to land your drone, please.
Of course I do.
Bring it back and land your drone.
Why?
Because I think you've committed some offences.
I haven't committed no offence.
Which I'm going to investigate. Yeah, I think you have.
Yeah. Was he flying BVLOS? And if he was it really dangerous? We don't know. I'll leave a link to that video down there in the description by my man parts, and you can go and watch the whole rest of it. It turned out pretty good in the end, but I couldn't believe it. It turned into a pissing contest between the police officer with this big Matrice drone and the auditor with his little DJI Mini. Who's got the bigger drone? There was a bit of, you know, I don't know. Anyway, it just shows you. But that's where we're headed. Enforcement's going to be a bigger thing. There's going to be a lot more focus on enforcement, especially in the UK. Now there's some really draconian new regulations set to come in the UK. I'm doing a whole separate video on that because there is a consultation paper out which needs a lot of addressing. There's a lot of points in there that I think should be made, and you need to have your say. It's not going to make the slightest bit of difference, as we know. I think the decisions have already been made, as so often happens, and it's just a case of they're hoping they'll get enough. If they get like 10,000 responses, they might get 500 that are positive, and then they can roll those out and say, look at all the positive support we've got. Forget about the other 9,500. We don't care about those. But I'll be doing a separate video because I want to help advise people in the UK on how they can respond to this in the most effective way, even if it's not going to be that effective. Now, they're building on the basis of the USA. It's all about remote ID. And in the USA, of course, we know we've got remote ID. It's a thing. But it's been kind of botched. And this video here, I'm just showing at the moment, this is somebody doing a dive of the Washington Monument. Now, smart people amongst you will know you're not supposed to be flying in DC. You're not supposed to be able to fly a drone there, but someone's gone out and they've dived the Washington Monument. Remote ID didn't stop that. In fact, Brendan Schulman, former DJI guy, posted on Twitter, he posted this video and he lamented how poorly remote ID's been handled in the USA. But my point is, if someone was going to do this, do you really think they would fit remote ID to the obviously freestyle drone they were using? No, of course they wouldn't. So remote ID makes zero difference to this kind of thing. And rumor on the ground is that this video was actually created by, in order to further the interests of some counter-UAS companies, or at least one counter-UAS company, a company that says, we can protect you against drones. They make a video like this, put it out on social media with no attributions. Look at what's happening. These drones can fly in the middle of a no-fly area. We need some counter-UAS technology to deal with this. Oh, it's all about money and it's all about, yeah. Anyway, but remote ID would have zero effect because people are not going to fit remote ID to drones that they intend to use for nefarious purposes. And the FAA put a thing up saying, can I disable the remote ID on my drone? And their response was, no, you cannot. Well, sorry, FAA, what are you smoking? If you've got a remote ID module, you just unplug it. They don't understand. They have no clues. Anyway, so what else have I got on my list here? As I say, that CAA consultation, I'll do a completely separate video on that because that's really important. That's probably all I've got to cover at the moment, just very quick stuff. Did I have something else? No, can't remember. Anyway, stay tuned. I will be going out, merch. I've got t-shirt, see? I did ask this on my community tab and I got a bit of a response. Seems to be fairly positive, but would you like a t-shirt like this? You can't have the body, it's mine. Not that you'd want it, but would you like a t-shirt like this? I haven't done merch to date. I've kept away from merch. Everyone does merch. But I figure, hey, maybe if people want to support the channel and get something tangible for that, maybe I could do merch. The problem is, if I get the t-shirts done in New Zealand to support local businesses here and keep things ticking over, I try to support local industry and local businesses. The shipping is terrible to the rest of the world. It costs so much money. And overseas, I gather some of the merch companies are a bit of a lottery. Some seem to be really good, some aren't good, and they seem to change. Sometimes they're good one month, not good the next month. So I would like your help. If you're thinking, oh, I'd like one of those t-shirts, tell me in the comments which would be your preferred merch supplier. Which company does the best job and is most affordable and has got the most efficient distribution network. Because if I get a consensus, I'll perhaps go to them, set up some merch, and you better buy your own t-shirt for the summer. Woo! And and see what you think. Anyway, so this is my motto for life, and it's the way I'll be doing things. Don't believe everything on YouTube. And one thing I was contemplating, I know a lot of people are reluctant to put videos of their flying on their channels now because if it's not compliant, who knows, you may get a visit from the FAA or the CAA, even though we're conclusively proven that video is not evidence, though you may not want to take that risk. So I'm thinking either I set up a separate channel, or maybe on this channel I showcase people, if you've got video that shows you doing something completely safe, but not necessarily compliant, you can send it to me and I will post it anonymously and you'll get to see your video, other people will get to see your video, but there'll be no way for them to trace back to who actually did the flight. Are you interested in that? Because we need to keep promoting this hobby. We need to show people how much fun it is. And if we all fly absolutely by the regulations, that's a little bit harder to do. How can you, who has an observer on hand every time they fly FPV? I don't know anyone that does. And to demand that makes it very difficult to fly legally when you're going out, you want to have some fun. So we'll see what we can do. We need to make sure we're promoting this hobby before it's regulated out of the sky. And that may happen sooner rather than later because, the final thing, I just remembered, I wanted to cover this. When I first mooted the whole concept that the FAA were going to go for network remote ID, and everyone, did their submissions, and then the AMA and all the other people stood up and said, oh, look, we beat it. Look at them. They've cancelled network remote ID. It's only going to be broadcast now. Isn't that a fantastic win? And I said, no. This is a transient victory at best. Network remote ID is in your future. The FAA has made it very clear. The only reason they're not going to roll out network remote ID at this time, as they say in their final rule, at this time is mentioned all through it, is because they don't have the support of network partners, their partners who would provide the technology for this network. But it's coming. And I was so pleased to see on the FPV Freedom Coalition's webcast last week, even they are now acknowledging network remote ID is an inevitability. Now, Dave Messina, nice guy, love him to death, he was saying, no, we've won a victory. We've got broadcast remote ID. It's not network remote ID. Now even he's admitting, network remote ID is coming.
Andy Platter is saying remote ID seems mostly settled. What's the next negative legislation from FAA coming down the pipe that we need to start watching out for and raising awareness about?
Network remote ID. Yeah, mentioned 5 times.
ID isn't settled.
Right. Yeah, not at all settled, and it's as I say, 5 mentions in the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2023. If that ever gets passed.
So, people lambast me for being negative and blah. No, I'm a realist. I'm a total realist, and at the moment, network remote ID is coming to the UK. It's coming to the USA. It's probably coming everywhere, and it's all because when the regulators said, register, everyone stood in a big line and said, yes, me, I'll register, instead of standing up and saying, no, we're not going to. You have no justification for demanding this level of restriction and control over our hobby, which has been proven over many decades to be one of the safest pastimes in the history of mankind. No one would stand up and say that. Well, not enough would do that. That's why we find ourselves where we are now. That's why I have to wear this t-shirt and live by this motto. And perhaps, I'm not going to say you should, but perhaps some of you will too. Anyway, that's it for another video. Next time, I promise there will be flying. Well, no, maybe not, because I may do the CAA UK consultation paper. I'll go through that. But there will be flying. I'm getting out there, having some fun. And there'll be X's all over the place. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye for now.
Overregulation is like a tumor. It's killing our hobby. It must be terminated. Now!